Hello, lovely people, and welcome to another Galactic Mayan Astrology report. So, this report is for the 19th of February 2020. So, the Wavespell, the 13-day process that we are entering into, is the energy of white wind. So, white wind is a very interesting energy. It's all about channeling our authentic selves, which is really exciting, isn't it? And it follows on really beautifully from the previous wave spell, which was Red Moon, which was all about purification of our vessel and really connecting in with that feminine energy and flow. Now, when we're connected into that energy and we are operating from a clearer space, then we are able to channel our most authentic self. So, white wind is the energy of breath. It is the energy of being able to give and receive equally. It's the energy of being able to show up for ourselves. And we're also at the moment within a certain moon of the 13 moon calendar. So within Mayan astrology, we have this 9-month cycle, and on top of it, we have a 13 moon earthly planetary journey around the sun cycle. Now, that journey around the sun is based on 13 moon months. Now we've entered into the 8th moon, which is all about integrity. So we've really got this energy of integrity that we are working with now on the planet in general, but specifically within this 13-day process. So you can expect to find evidence as to where you are not showing up for yourself, where you're not being your authentic self. And this is something that for me personally has been such a huge journey, especially recently, of being able to be in integrity, even when it isn't what people want, when the people around you don't support that, or if it means that your relationships have got to shift as a result of that. It can be a really challenging energy to embody. Integrity is such a key part of stepping into our power and our sovereign being, the person that we are when we are making our choices from our heart and from our own knowing. And we've been raised within this environment that means that we're constantly looking to the outside of ourselves to check in to see if it's okay, to see if we're okay, to look for the guidance. Somebody needs to tell me how to do this, da 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 da. We're constantly giving our integrity away, giving our power away. So white wind energy really brings that back into ourselves, which aligns very much with this moon month too. Also, with the energy of white wind, we've got this beautiful, expressive energy. So this is a beautiful time to create. It's a beautiful time to share our heart, to share our challenges, to share our expansions, to really open ourselves up, to communicate our authenticity. Now, if communication is something that you struggle with, I totally vibe with that. And this is a really beautiful time to tune in and to see where your blocks to communication came from. Because when we uncover the when, where, how, what, then that awareness supports us then to shift through to a totally different way of being. But yeah, feel into why you don't feel like you can express yourself creatively, why you feel like you can't have that conversation with that person, why you get really freaked out if you fancy someone and you want to tell them, but you don't know how. Really take it back to where did that blockage get created? Why is it that I limit my authentic expression? And again, this journey that I've been going through recently has very much been about like dropping the people-pleasing mask, but then having a bit of an identity crisis because I don't know who I am without it. There's been this huge period of my life where anything that I've wanted to say that hasn't been the people pleaser has come through written word. So then when I'm faced with having to do that in person, there isn't a me within that. That element of myself hasn't really developed. So it's like this huge new self-discovery and self-creation mission that I feel to be on at the moment. So yeah, have a little feeling to the people please energy too. and where that came from. Now, as I say, another element of white wind is the breath. So this is a really great time to be doing things like breath work and to be really opening up the body system, the emotion system through the breath, but also tuning in to giving and receiving. When we're breathing, unless we're doing it consciously, it's just kind of happening in the background, but it can be really interesting to tune into your breath and see when it's unconscious, when it's just doing its thing, how equal the in-breath and the out-breath are. And then that brings us into attachment. So with this breath, with this energy of white wind, we're really given the opportunity to see how freely we can give and how easily we can receive. What are your blocks to receiving and to giving? Do you get fearful about giving away because you don't know if anything else is going to come? Well, you've got to really tune into the infinite, amazing universe that we live in and remember that there is always going to be something to come back because it's infinite. And then when it comes to, this energy of like love as well, it's like, do we keep that in? Are we scared to love? Are we scared to be vulnerable? Are we scared to give it away? Are we scared that we're going to like burn it all out? I remember when I first got with my partner, one of the things that I said to him was like, oh, can we have like a different code word for I love you? Because I don't want to say it too much in case it loses its meaning. Now, obviously, all this time into our relationship, I know that that isn't the case, and that I love you is so much deeper than it was then, even though it was incredibly deep at that time. But that was my fear. It's like, oh, if we love too much, then it'll just go away. So really feel into all of that too. What are your conditions, around giving and receiving? It's a really, really beautiful and magical time, as I say, for expression. So if there are things that you want to say, if there are difficult situations that you feel like your throat will allow you to step into it. This is a fantastic time to do that and to experience what happens. Brené Brown, that I've mentioned before, who I think is absolutely amazing, speaks about like vulnerability, and vulnerability isn't about outcome. Vulnerability is about showing up. Even if it goes totally wrong, having the courage to step into that space and take that risk and do the thing that loads of parts of yourself are like, no, that is to be vulnerable, and that is to grow, and that is to be successful, even if it goes completely wrong. So take those risks to be vulnerable this Wavespell. Really tune into, what your fears are around expression. I'm being really drawn to the throat because this is where it all lies with white wind. As the throat clears, as that emotion comes off, as that suppression is released, the most magical things can come through that throat channel. The most vulnerable, heart-opening things. Spirit can come through that vocal channel, that expression of self, and self is spirit. So I hope that you have a wonderful Wavespell. If you do want to tune more into the Wavespells, Mayan astrology, and what they mean for you, book in with me through my Etsy shop for a reading, because it will really support you to understand your specific Wavespell and your specific sign and what that means for your life and who you are. Sometimes we can kind of think that things are part of our shadow when actually it's part of our energy. And yes, it might be part of our shadow too, but that is the gift that we've come here to bring. So for instance, a white world bridger person brings the energy of death. That's what they're here to bring. So they bring endings to people. They bring these endings and rebirths and transformations. Now, without that knowing, without that understanding of self, they might think that there's something really wrong with them for bringing that. They may have been labelled as many different things. So it's a really fab thing to do. But for this Wavespell, just tune into that authenticity. What is your authentic truth? How can you show up for yourself in all situations, regardless of the outcome? So have a wonderful Wavespell, and I will speak to you again soon.